Om. Namaste to all of you and wish you all a wonderful, happy Deepavali. Today we are going to embark on a very interesting topic, follow the elephant to moksha, also known as Gajendra Moksha. A story most of us are familiar, but we are going to take a deeper look into the simplicity of this, as this story has a connection with each and every one of us. Most of us have heard this story. We think that it has something related with an elephant, with somebody else. But let me give you right at the outset that there is a connection with each and every one of us. So if we pay attention to this today's talk, we will have a take-home message that can transform our lives. So Sanatana Dharma doesn't only recognize the human beings, but also recognizes all living beings, all sentient forms as Jiva. Now you have to look at it just for contrast the way the Abrahamic desert religions look at it. They look at only the human beings as the top of the pyramid and all the others as fit for their subordination or use or abuse. So here, when we say Jiva, we are not talking about a mere person with a body or a being with a body. We are not talking about just something that is cloaked with a mind and intellect. It may or may not be, but we are talking about that entity, that thing that enlivens a being. What makes an ant live and an elephant walk and a bird fly and a human being think, that enlivening entity is what we call as Jivatma, and that is what we are going to be talking about, because we are all sentient beings. What we don't understand, most of us, at least in the day-to-day context, intellectually yes we do, but in the day-to-day context we do not at least operate from the principle that we are a Jiva. We only operate like I am this body. The talk has been based on an earlier blog which was written several years ago, and you can go to the pinned article, because many times if we want to do some serious research, like look at which slokas we are referring and things like that, it makes more sense. Now here, all of us are beings bound because of our karma. We can say in that way we are karma bada, that means bound because of karma. But these karma are what determines the direction of the Jiva. And these karmas also leave their imprints in the form of vasana. Apart from the fact that we have to collect that karma phala, we are also going to have these vasanas that are going to cast a shadow in the way we think. Needless to say, we are wanting to escape from this clutches of these vasanas, and because these vasanas, apart from the fact that we have identified ourselves as the body and the sense organs that are deployed go and contact the senses that are going to go and contact the sense objects and bring that information, along with these vasanas, they produce something what we call as desire in our mind. So from these karma, we do get some karma phala. From the karma phala, we need to take different bodies to enjoy the different karma phala we have accumulated. And because we have taken a body, we also do more karma. And because of that, we need to get more bodies to get over this. This cycle is what we call as samsara in a nutshell. Now, the entire essence of today's story is how do we get out of this? No one wants to be caught in this. Just the fact that I tell you, hey, you are going to be born, you're going to live your life. Let's say that you got all the cool things you wanted, but you still got to live your life, and then you die, and then you take another body, then you exhaust all the vasanas, but in the process you also acquire some, so you take another body. Now by the time I told you this 2-3 times, you are already like, come on, I don't want to go in this forever. There is also another idea which we have popularly picked up from our deracinated colonial mindset, that we are all sinners. So if you look at all of us, we all have our own baggage of papa and punya. So we think that, oh, I am a sinner, so I am doomed. That's not the case. Because the sin-based theory, what the desert religion peddles, is not based on karma. The sin they talk about, the primal sin they talk about, there are only two ideas of sin. That you didn't sign up for their version of God and you didn't accept that. And the second thing is, even if you accept their version, you have to accept that you are a born sinner. That you are born because God cursed all people to be born as a sinner. That sounds like a very dark and ominous idea, but still people believe that. Now, contrast that with what the Upanishads say. There are many Upanishads, and about 108 odd Upanishads we have the 10 primary Upanishads. Of the 10 primary Upanishads, one Upanishad is called Shveta Ashvattara Upanishad. In that, it declares you what you and I are. Shrunvantu Vishve Amurtasya Putraha. It says, Shrunvantu, hey, listen. Vishve, all the beings in the world. What? You are Amurtasya Putra. What is Amurtasya Putra? That you are children of immortality. That is very interesting, bold statement from the Upanishads. So we come back to our scenario, today's talk, the theme of today's talk, follow the elephant all the way to moksha. What are we going to do? What is that we are going to do today? We all have heard this story. There was an elephant that got its leg caught by a crocodile and it cried in help, asked Bhagavan to help, and Bhagavan came to the rescue. The end. That's the end of our understanding of this elephant story. But that's not how Bhagavatam views this. There are multiple chapters dedicated in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are going to look at the Ashtama Skanda or the 8th Skanda to understand the story of Gajendra. And we are going to understand the individual message, individual connection to you and me. What are we going to do? So, now we are going to do in our typical fashion. First, we are going to dive into the story. Then we are going to analyze some of the highlights of this particular incident, and then we are going to come back and reconnect it to how it is applicable to you and me. I hope we will look into the last aspect as the key takeaway. If we don't connect with that personal aspect of how it is connected to us, then what happens? We have lost the ball. We have not understood the whole thing. So we are going to go quickly since we know the story, but we want to retell the story as is in Bhagavatam. Many times we know the story, but we don't know the story. You know what I'm saying? Just like I know Ramayana, but I don't know Ramayana. That kind of thing. So how do we look at it? So there are different, according to the Hindu calendar, there are different manvantaras. Now there is a cycle of humans coming into the birth and then going away, that sort of thing. So there are different calculations, what we call as one kalpa. In that kalpa, we are talking about 14 manvantaras. Now each manvantara has one Manu in charge of this. We are currently in the 7th manvantara. This is just some background information for people who are curious. So the very first manvantara was called Swayambhuva Manu. Okay, Swayambhuva Manvantara. Then we have Swarochisha Manvantara. Then we have Uttama Manvantara. In Uttama Manvantara is where we had all these interesting episodes of Dhruva and others. Then we had Tamasa Manvantara. Then we had Raivata Manvantara. Then we had Chakshusha Manvantara. And currently we are in Vaivasvata Manvantara. In this Manvantara, we are going to have a Chatur Yuga, right? Chatur Mahayuga. In that Yuga, you have Krita, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. So you have the same 4 Yugas repeating in all the Manvantaras. Here we are going to go back to a story that happened in the Tamasa Manvantara. Remember we talked about the 4th Manvantara, right? The 4th Manvantara is called Tamasa Manvantara. Now in this Manvantara there was an elephant. His name was Gajendra. He got to moksha. Unlike the desert religions which say only people who sign up for their religion and do this and that, they only go to moksha, right? Here a non-human entity is recorded as going to moksha by the grace of Hari. Now we want to take this story because one, it gives us hope. If an elephant can go to moksha, we can also. But this is not an ordinary elephant. This is not the elephant of you and me kind of types. So we need to know what is this background of this and how did this elephant come into the being. So first let's look at the crocodile. Remember I told there was a crocodile involved. So there was a Gandharva, his name was Huhu. Like there are 2 Gandharvas, they come very often. One name is Haha, another one is Huhu. So this Huhu, once he had a lot of these, women he was trying to impress. And they were all having water sports and they were having fun. So there was a rishi, his name was Devala, and he was standing in the water and he tried to impress these girls, like they do something foolish. So he goes into the water and tries to act as if like a crocodile is tugging the rishi's leg. So the rishi was trying to do his rituals, and suddenly he was disturbed by this who came like a crocodile and tried to tug him down. So he cursed, since you tried to behave like a crocodile, you will become a crocodile. You will become a giant crocodile and you will be living for a long time. And in southern part of India, there are a lot of people in Tamil Nadu, right? Especially a lot of these kind of Dumil candidates. They talk like, oh, there is no reference of all these things in. Now, there is a very specific word used, Dravida. So, in the Dravida Desha, in the Pandya king, there was a Pandya king, it says, and his name was Indradyumna. This Indradyumna was hardcore Hari Bhakta. He was committed to worship of Hari. And every day he would, I think he probably handed over his reins to maybe his son or something like that. And he went to a ashram in Kulachala, and what we call as Kulachalai in Tamil. And people from Tamil Nadu know this, probably this place in southern Tamil Nadu. Now, this ashram, he went there and he was engaged in mauna. He was in doing austerities like mind control and things like that, and meditation and stuff like that. One day, Agastya Maharishi came there. And he came with a bunch of his disciples. And Indradyumna was lost in his meditation. But Agastya did not see him properly, so he thought he was ignoring him. You know how an elephant is walking in the jungle? It doesn't care about if there is a lion coming that side or whatever. It is so proud of its strength and it just keeps walking, right? So same way, especially if it is a giant elephant. So he said, like, since he was so arrogant like an elephant, but he was proud and also stupid, because sometimes the elephant doesn't know, it thinks it is too strong and gets into some situation, right? So he said, you will become Gajendra, a elephant. Here is the interesting thing. The difference between a normal person and a person who is in the Raja Rishi level or in the Rishi level, the Bhagavatam calls him as Raja Rishi. Now, he was not bothered about it. He thought, if that is what Bhagavan wants me to be, so be it. Can you imagine that one Rishi came and cursed you, you are doing nothing wrong, and he came and cursed you, you become an elephant in the next Janma. It didn't bother him. He took it with grace and he said, okay, whatever time I have, I'll think about Hari. Now, needless to say, the Rishi's Shrapa was powerful. He was born in the region of Trikuta. There was a huge mountain called Trikuta Parvata. In that Trikuta Parvata, there were numerous mountains, lakes, valleys, and all sorts of interesting, beautiful. Now, since I am only sharing the story, you don't have to drive or anything. Close your eyes and visualize this place. This is a beautiful place. Trikuta means three peaks are there. Three huge peaks are there. But surrounding those valleys and mountain ranges, there are like so many big mountains, streams flowing, lakes and things like that. It was so wonderful. It had so many nice, beautiful trees and animals, and even all Devas, Charanas and Siddhas and all sorts of people who came there, because it was such a magical place. It was such a beautiful place. So this Gajendra, our Indradyumna became Gajendra. Just put that in the back of your head. You don't have to remember all this, but it helps if you want to. So he was the leader. He was the leader of that herd. And this herd had so many like male tuskers, so many female elephants, and a lot of baby calves. And this herd was so proud, and when they walked, it was trembling. All the other animals would be running away from fear. Imagine a huge pack of herd of pachyderms. They went to this lake. This lake was filled with golden color lotuses. For some reason, these elephants had a fascination for this golden color lotus. It's not normal color, golden color lotus. So what happened? All these elephants saw that it's a beautiful, inviting, cool, fresh water. Let's go into that lake. So they all went, and as they went there, the elephant king led the way, and as it entered the water, it found something tugging its feet. There was a huge crocodile. This one, if you look at the ancient, the fossil records, there have been much bigger crocodiles in the past. There have been much bigger wild animals in the past, right? So these crocodile caught hold of it. Now all the female elephants, the cow elephants, what we call, they are all like distressed. They are like, I don't know what to do. And all the other male elephants, they said like, come on, one of our brethren is in problem. Let's go to the rescue. So now what happened? One side, one crocodile. Another side, all the other elephants. Now pay attention to the story. I'm going slowly to highlight this because every single thing what we are going to listen is going to be relevant back to us. So it helps if you pay attention. So what happened? This tug of war was going on, and after a while, there was like one side, this was pulling, one side it looked like the elephants were winning. Another time it looked like the elephants were completely beaten, the other side was winning. Now this tug of war was going on for thousands of years. Now immediately our so-called, if you had some of these characters who came yesterday for our Q&A, they'll come and say, all these self-certified rationalists, oh, how can there be thousands of years? It's not possible. Relax, buddy. This is a hint to tell that this is a metaphor. We are not claiming that this was a story of an elephant and a crocodile really happening. We are talking about a metaphorical story. So keep that metaphor part of it in the mind because we want to understand why this battle was going on for thousands of years. And Devas are also watching. Why are Devas interested in watching a tug of war? Ask that question and put it away, tuck it away in the corner, right? So while this was happening, the other elephants thought like, come on, how long can I keep pulling this fellow? It looks like we are also exhausted. So the other elephants gave the effort. But its life is not at stake, right? Gajendra's life is at stake. So Gajendra was again pulling so hard, he was not ready to give in. Right? If your life is at stake, will you just surrender that easily? No. But at some point, the elephant also grew exhausted and it gave up its strength, it gave up its hope, and it started slowly getting into the grasp and dominance of this makara or crocodile. Now what happened? The elephant suddenly realized something. How can elephant realize? I again told you, this is a metaphor. It has more relevance to you and me than to the elephant that is roaming in the hills. We are not talking about those elephants, we are talking about us. So the elephant suddenly realized, what am I even doing? I am identifying myself as this body and I am trying to be engaged in this battle. And this battle, others are not going to help me. Nobody is going to help me in this battle. As it realized these two things, that it is not a body and it is not others' role to come and help, it started understanding that there is only one and only option for it, that Bhagavan alone has to come to the rescue. That Paramatma alone has to come to the rescue. So it started making a big sloka, like 28 slokas, big sloka. That as many slokas it came, and all these slokas are highest. It didn't talk like, okay, you Vishnu come, you Shiva come, you Brahma come. No. It didn't look at Sakuna Brahma. It is talking about Nirguna Nirakara Brahma. That is the highest form a human mind can even touch. It went straight into this Nirguna Nirakara Parabrahma, and it said, and the entire sloka, we are not going to look at the sloka, okay? That's not our time and place. We will just look at 2 or 3 slokas just to get some context. If you are serious about it, I would go to Bhagavatam, the 8th skanda, 3rd chapter, and I would go and look at the sloka. Slowly you can digest it, and it is very high Vedanta. Even to understand the sloka, it takes a lot of sattvic mindset. If you take the sloka, you will, without your mental purity, you will say like, okay, what is it talking? I don't understand anything, and you will just throw it away. But every single syllable Gajendra utters is of very high Vedantic value. And he refers to the indweller in all, that Hari, and he makes an appeal to that eternal principle, that permanent idea, that one thing that exists in the past, present and future. Now Hari, that is Vishnu, he is trying to get onto the Garuda, bring his Sudarshana Chakra. Sudarshana Chakra is, imagine, close this, maybe if you can visualize in your eyes, it may probably make a lot of sense to you. Imagine this. Hari is sitting in Vaikunta with Lakshmi. Suddenly he gets this distress call. The Sudarshana Chakra is itching to go faster. But Hari wants to go faster than the Sudarshana Chakra. Garuda wants to go faster than Vishnu's idea of reaching there. So there is a competition between Sudarshana Chakra, Garuda and Bhagavan Hari on who is going to, and they all want to go together because they don't want to go, leave one and go. That much excited Bhagavan is. And as soon as he came, he sent the Sudarshana Chakra to cut the crocodile, and Bhagavan himself rushes to the feet of Gajendra and he is massaging. He is massaging the feet of Gajendra and making that pain go away. And imagine the tears of joy of Bhagavan that is covering the feet of Gajendra. But Gajendra is mesmerized at the fact that Bhagavan himself has come. And then Bhagavan says, this Gandharva who was the Makara, he got released from the curse. He falls at the feet of Hari and he says, please forgive me and all my apachara for the rishi. And he went back to his loka. He is not, he got the darshan of Bhagavan. He didn't have the same connection like Gajendra. But Gajendra, Bhagavan said, come, I got a very special place for you in Vaikunta, and I will make you as one of my very, very, very special attendants. And he took him there. Now that's the end of the story from Gajendra. Okay, what is that? We learned something new. We already know the story. But here is where we need to start diving a little bit deeper into what this story is all about. So in some of these stories, you will, not every story, in some of these stories you will find the Phalashruti. The Phalashruti tells, if you learn this story, if you recite this story, if you repeat this story, what happens? Like if you tell Vishnu Sahasranamam, these are the phala you will get. At the end of the Vishnu Sahasranama, you will get the Phalashruti. You tell Kandasashti Kavasam, at the end of it, it will tell that Balan Devarayan wrote this, and these are the benefits you will get by chanting this particular slok. So here we go to the Phalashruti and see what Bhagavan is telling. This is a Phalashruti that is provided by Bhagavan Hari himself. The first thing what Bhagavan Hari is saying, that is Vishnu, Mahavishnu, is saying, those who listen to this story, those who tell the story, meditate on the story, that's all, or study the story, that's all different. But those who just listen to the story will immediately be elevated spiritually. And now you are going to look at, I just heard the story, I didn't get any elevation. Yeah, it's coming. That boost is coming in a minute. Then the second question, second point that we get, or benefit we get, we are all living in Kali Yuga, right? But Kali will not be having any impact on you just because you remember the story, retell the story, and listen to the story again and again and again. You will not get the effect of Kali. Yesterday also somebody asking Q&A, they came and asked the same question, how do we get out? This is the answer. That's why I wanted them to come. If they are listening later, that's great. The third benefit is, there are people, right? We all have the fear of samsara at some point in time or the other. I don't know about most people, but occasionally when our mind gets really sattvic, it looks inward and says, oh my God, I don't want another life. I have done so many bad karmas for which I have to come back again. Maybe some good karmas, I have to come back again for that. I'm tired of this. So those kind of, not nightmares, like the nightmares that you get in the night, or those nightmares you get even while you are awake, when your mind gets worried about the existence in the samsara, they will get cured. They will go away. Okay. Those are all nice, fine and dandy. But these are the last two things what Mahavishnu is telling about Gajendra Moksha. If you, these are only 28 slokas. Okay, if you go and Google Gajendra Moksha, there are so many people who chant that. In fact, when I gave this Tamil talk, I told this to a few people, and some of them have started taking that practice of daily chanting Gajendra Moksha. Based on, not my recommendation, don't mistake me, based on what Hari has promised. He gives two promises. If you tell morning, early morning, underline the word early morning, not when you wake up at 9 o'clock, that is not early morning. When you recite Gajendra Stotra early morning, one is purified from all papas. So first benefit you get is you get purified from all papas. Second thing, Bhagavan Hari also gives you how you should tell. He says, remember I kept hinting you, visualize this story, visualize this story. I took that words exactly from him. He says, visualize this story from the trees to the lake to the mountains and everything. And then you visualize Sri Hari standing there with 4 arms, Chaturbhuja, with Gada, Padma, Shankha and Chakra, with his Kaustubha Mani in his chest. On his chest you find a Srivatsa Mudra. You also see him with Adishesha and Garuda. You also see Sri Lakshmi, Sri Devi, Mahalakshmi right next. And then you remember all the great Bhagavatas, starting from Brahma to Narada, from Durva to Prahalada. That is how we should visualize this. So Bhagavan is literally telling you this, how to do this meditation as a Phalashruti. If you do like that, daily you chant that sloka. While you are chanting that sloka, you visualize it in your mind. All your papas are washed away. Bhagavan gives you guarantee. Remember, I am only telling you what Bhagavan has promised in Srimad Bhagavatam. I am not making this up or embellishing the story, because no one can embellish such a beautiful story. I may have the fault of not communicating all the information, but I will not have the fault of adding more stuff. Then he says, if you tell this sloka at night before you go to bed, right, and remember all these virtues of all these things, what happened, this entire story, and you chant this entire sloka, 28 slokas, takes probably like 7 minutes or 10 minutes, something like 7 minutes. If you tell that, Bhagavan Hari gives you a guarantee. It's called Gajendra Stuti. The 28 slokas we are referring is Gajendra Stuti. It is available in Srimad Bhagavatam. If you Google Gajendra Stuti, you can also find so many people rendering it, and you can learn and you can follow that. So if you tell this Gajendra Stuti at night, Bhagavan gives a guarantee that such a jiva will have a pure sattvic consciousness. And at the time of, now forget about like all I am doing is Gajendra Stuti every night and purifying my mind, and I don't know when I will die. Bhagavan says at the time of death, your mind will be not thinking about the worldly matters. It will think only about Bhagavan, and you are going straight to moksha. How cool is that? Now we are interested, right? We heard the story first. That was like, I know the same crocodile elephant story. Now we heard the Phalashruti. Now hopefully our interest is kindled. Now what we are going to do is, we are not going to look at all the 28 slokas of this highest Vedanta. Not only Vedanta, it is the Vedanta that is distilled again and again, and the purest essence. Those 28 slokas, no question on that. That is very high there, Vedanta. Probably I am not even qualified to even talk about it at this moment. But we will have to look at 2-3 slokas so that we can understand what is going on. Okay. The first point we need to get rid of in our mind is, we always have been told this story that Gajendra was crying, Bhagavan, come and save my life. Bhagavan said, okay, come and I will save you from the elephant and I will give you moksha. This is the idea most people have. Now, you heard the story, so you are not going to be part of that most people. But that is not the truth. Now, how do we know that? Bhagavan, all the stuti that Gajendra was telling was not about how to save it from the crocodile's mouth, because all the 28 slokas are of the highest Vedanta. The highest quality Vedanta you can get in Gajendra Stuti. So definitely it is not about saving itself. So let's, like I said, we will take only like 3 slokas and we will try to get to the key points. Okay. First thing, in towards the end of the sloka he says, Jivishe naham ihamuhya kim antarbahishcha vrita avyeba yonya ichchami kalena na yasya viplavas tasyatma lokavaranyasya moksham. This is a mouthful. What do? We try to break this word and we try to simplify what we are talking about. Let's look at it in simple word. We will not go word for word. We will just try to translate the whole thing. He says, Vishe naham. I am not having any desire to live in this world or want a better world. I don't want to go to Brahmaloka or Swarga or go and dance with Gandharvas or something like that. I don't want all these things. He says, Vishe naham. I am not interested. He says, what is the use of living in ignorance that I am this body and I don't know? As an elephant I have lived, I didn't understand that the real truth that I am an Atma. I didn't understand. So what he is asking is, he is not asking Bhagavan to come and save him from the crocodile. He says, I am not interested in this crocodile business or in this elephant business. I don't want to become a human being. I don't want Indra. I don't want to be the next Brahma. I don't want anything. I just want you to cut through this avarna, this veil of ignorance. Please get rid of this avarna once and for all, that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this prana, I am not this buddhi, that I am a Jivatma, but that Jivatma has to have direct connection with Paramatma. I don't want anything else. Don't put me in another loka, give me some special treatment. Please, 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 please don't that. And he says, time, kala, puts an end to all our body, right? Whether we are old or young, whether we are thin or fat, whether we are beautiful or ugly, time will put an end to the physical body. But our ignorance, remember we are in Deepavali Eve, so that tamas can go only when the Jyoti of Jnana comes. So that ignorance has to go, and I want that Atma Jnana. And how will I get that Atma Jnana? Only from your grace, only from your blessing, I can get this Atma Jnana, and it will go away. Because this ignorance has been persisting since my very first birth. In whichever janma I took, I don't even know when it was. How long ago, I don't know. But I am stuck in that loop. So, please, 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 get me out of this samsara chakra, and I want to completely surrender to you. I have no other want. So now we are clear that the Gajendra was not praying to Bhagavan and say like, come and liberate me from this clutches of this crocodile's jaw. No. But he wants to liberate from something more dangerous than that crocodile, that is the samsara. Because this samsara is been dragging our avarna, our veil of ignorance across so many janmas. So in this janma I am this, next janma I am something else. I am again and again and again and again being dragged through that muck of that, and I don't want that. So now you suddenly, see, I just gave you a one line flavor. Now you should like, wow, I never understood Gajendra Stuti is so deep. Now this is only towards the end. Okay, he is telling like towards the end, but he has much more bigger, because let's go to the very first sloka he says. Okay, he calls Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yattat Etat Chidatmakam Purushaya Adi Bijaya Parameshaya Abhidimahi. He says Abhidimahi. Come, let's all meditate. Can you imagine if there is a real elephant whose crocodile is pulling it for thousands of years? Why is it that Gajendra gonna come and tell Abhidimahi? Let's all meditate together. You are going in somebody is going in a car and they slipped in the hill and the car is slipping going down the hill. Right? It's not tumbling, but it is going recklessly downhill. Now that time, will the person be saying Purushaya Adi Bijaya Pareshaya Abhidimahi? Let's all meditate together. So that is why I told you there are so much indications in the sloka itself to tell that this is a very, very deep personal metaphor, nothing more. Okay. Now let's look at these two words before we go into the next sloka. The very first words, he says, Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai. Okay. He says Bhagavate. Bhagavate means like Narayana, that Bhagavan. Okay. I am doing Namaha. I am bowing myself. Okay. And then he says, from you only this body has come, and also this chit atmakam, this chit, this movement I am having, this consciousness that is happening, it's all because of you. Purushaya, in Vedantic language we call Bhagavan as Purusha and this world or the Prapancha as Prakriti. Straight away he goes, he is not talking about, the Gajendra doesn't want to talk about Bhagavan in this rupa, that rupa, this and that. No. Straight he goes and says Purushaya Adi Bijaya. Adi means very early, the root. Bija means seed. So Adi Bija, everything root cause is him only. The very, very first cause, Bhagavan only. Nothing before. And he says, Para Ishaya, the highest Isha. Isha means one who is the ruler, like a lord, like Bhagavan, right? So he is Para Ishaya. That means he is the Lord of Lords. Straight. He is not talking about no intermediate. This is the very first word. The sloka first is starting itself is this. So you can understand that he is talking about a very, very advanced topic. Now the second sloka we are going to look at, the sloka, now we are going jumping all over the board. We are not, we are trying to understand and establish three things. What are we trying to do in these three sloka? Number one, that this elephant is not talking about normal crocodile business. It is talking about something very deep Vedanta. Second thing we are trying to understand is what is this particular elephant trying to tell? What is the qualification as a sadhaka we need to have? The third thing Gajendra is trying to tell is who can approach and be with Bhagavan. So the second thing what we are looking at is this stuti is like telling straight that it's like it's overflowing with mumukshutva, that it says nothing less than that moksha is all that I want. If you hold my head in water for 2 minutes, maybe if you keep me longer, I will not be alive. But that last second, if you let me, beyond which I will not be alive, that time when I come out, I'll be having gasp for air, right? This Gajendra is also wanting moksha at that level of intensity 1,000,000 times more. That is mumukshutva. Now here, there is a word, we already saw that word, right? Purushaya Adi Bijaya. So he is not talking and he is not mincing words. Straight away, the very first two words he says Purushaya Adi Bijaya. He is talking something else. And he talks about Atma Pradipaya. In another sloka, he says, he refers to Bhagavan as Atma Pradipaya Sakshine. He is not calling like Krishna, Rama, Govinda, Mukunda. No. He is talking pure Vedanta here. Atma. Atma, we know that is our Atma. Pradipa. Deepa means lamp. Now again, we have a Diwali connection. So many unexpected Diwali connections. But here also is Deepa. And what is Pradipa? That means Visheshena Deepa, like very special, very bright lamp. Pradipa. Atma Pradipa. Now, he says that illumination, the Atma that illumines, right? What is that illumining? That Atma. And what is that? What role it plays? It is a Sakshi. So, Bhagavan is the Sakshi and Bhagavan is also the form of that Atma that illumines everything. It's not the buddhi that illumines. It's not the mind that illumines. They all get the jnana from the Atma, and in that reflected knowledge, we are seeing all these things. So, what is the source of all this knowledge? Our Atma. So, very clearly, this Gajendra, right from the get-go, is not normal elephant. He has one goal. He wants to somehow translate his wisdom and transfer his wisdom to us. Very nice elephant. And definitely we want to follow this elephant. No question on that. Now, we are also talking about, we are not talking about the ego or the mind or the buddhi. We are talking straight about Atma. Now, here we also see one more interesting thing. There is one more sloka where he talks about what are the gunas of the qualifications a sadhaka must have. Imagine if there was an elephant that was really being pulled by crocodile for thousands of years, will that be giving you qualifications? No. But this Gajendra is our friend. This Gaja is our friend. People who know Tamil movie, they know that Gaja is our friend because it's a famous movie dialogue from the past. Right? So this Gaja is our friend. And he says, in one of the slokas, again, like I said, we are not going to look at all slokas. We are going to took only 3 slokas. Atma Atma Japta Griha Vitta Janesu Shaktair Dush Pranapya Guna Sangha Vivarjitaya Muktatma Abhi Swahridaya Paribhavitaya Jnanatmane Bhagavate Nama Ishvaraya. Now let's try to break a few words. He says Atma. Now here Atma is referring to the body as well as mind. See, the word Atma is used in Vedantic context. Depending on the context, you should understand. You can't just say whatever it says, you can't take that. So it says this Atma, that people who think that they are the body, they are the mind, they are the buddhi, right? Or in Vedantic language, it's called Mithyatman. In another set of things, we get attached. What is it? We are attached to our spouse, our children, friends, family, home, our location, right? Wealth, possessions. When we are attached to all these things, we will not be able to make contact or even approach Bhagavan. And it says one more interesting thing, Guna Sangha Vivarjitaya. That means that you and I should have transcended the gunas of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. That we are not contaminated by these gunas. Guna Sangha Vivarjitaya, it says. And then Mukta Atmaibi Swahridye, what he is talking about is, when you go to that level where you have transcended the gunas, the people who are self-liberated, self-realized, right? What they do is they meditate upon Bhagavan in the core of their hearts. They are not going from one temple to another and that sort of thing. Now, starting stage we may have to do that. But at the highest level, someone who has got Atma Jnana, who has already got that Atma Sakshatkara, they don't have to run here and there. They just have to focus on their hearts, in the core of their hearts, and they can realize Bhagavan. And then he says, Bhagavan, you are nothing but an embodiment of consciousness. Jnana. You are the Ishvara that is controlling everything, and I humbly salute you. So now you know what are the qualifications we need to approach Bhagavan. One sloka, Gajendra bowls Yarkar and delivery clean bold. He says, we are attached to our body, mind, buddhi and whatever. And we are also creatures of our vasanas and kama. And on top of that, we also wrongly associate that me with my spouse, or children, friends, or relatives, or the wealth I have, or the things I possess, or all these things pull me down. Like imagine not one makara, a million makaras that are pulling me down. And I am not able to focus on you, Bhagavan. So, if I get rid of all this confusion, in that process, my mind can be slowly cleansed of the three gunas and I can transcend the three gunas. And when I transcend the three gunas, where do I find? I don't have to go looking from pillar to post. All I need to do is turn within and look within, and Bhagavan, you are right there. Look at the beauty of Gajendra. He gives step by step everything. Now, if you go and look at the Gajendra Stuti, and people who are blessed to easily grasp sloka, you will get it if you listen few times. Now, what Gajendra is talking to people like you and me, who is he prescribing all this? He is prescribing to people like you and me because we are the ones who are stuck in this samsara sagara. For him, no problem. Bhagavan is there. He took him straight to Vaikuntha. He is liberated already. He is not going to come back to this realm ever. But all these prescriptions he has given for people like you and me, he is recommending us to give up that sense of I-ness, that ahamkara, and give up that attachment. So when we are also giving up that attachment, he also says, hey, you know what? We are all made up of Prakriti and these three gunas. But if you want to look at the real indweller, that Bhagavan, it's not like somebody who is sitting in the sky and you look at the sky and Bhagavan is sitting there or something. This Bhagavan is an indweller. That means he is in your own hridaya. You don't have to go and look, like all these people say, like Father in heaven. All these people try to peddle that, and we also get confused and we also ape them so stupidly. But here Gajendra is telling you clearly. And he also says, hey, you can go and ask Bhagavan anything. You can go and ask Bhagavan, hey, you want dharma, he will give you dharma. You want artha or kama, he will give you that. He also will give you moksha if you ask him. But are you asking him? That's the question. And then what happens? He can give you something even more special. He gave a very special spiritual body for Gajendra and took him to Vaikuntha only. He can give you that also. And then there are some among us who are like, I got it. Now what do I need to do? How do I need to look at this? How do I stay focused? Namo namaste akila karanaya nishkaranaya adbhuta karanaya sarva agama amnaya maha aranvaya namaha apavargaya para agnaye. What he is telling is, let's look at the beautiful words. I'm like, every word is like frothing with wisdom. He is telling, I'm saluting, Namo Namaha. That means what I am doing namaskaram, I am playing. So the highest thing we can do when we go think of Bhagavan is not Bhagavan give me this, give me that. The highest thing we can do is, all I can do, Bhagavan, is just I can pray, do namaskaram to you. I'll do namaskaram to you. I'll do one more namaskaram to you. All I can do is namaskaram to you. And that takes a very high level of chitta shuddhi. So here he says, Akila Karanaya. Bhagavan is the Karana for everything. He is the supreme cause for everything. And then he says, Nishkaranaya. Is there a cause for Bhagavan? No reason. Bhagavan is above cause and effect. And he is also Adbhuta Karanaya. That Adbhuta Karanaya means the wonderment. He is the wonderful cause for everything. He is the reason for everything. He is the supreme cause of everything. He is beyond the cause, but he is not involved in everything. He is the reason for everything, but he is not entangled in everything. Bhagavan Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita also. The world is in me, but I am not in that. So here we are understanding that Bhagavan is the source. Sarva Agama Amnaya. That means you are the source of all these Vedas and Upanishads and all those things. Maha Aranvaya. You are the ocean of knowledge. You are the ocean of knowledge in which all other ocean, all the other rivers go and merge. All the rivers of knowledge go into the ocean of Bhagavan and they just merge into it. And here come idiotic desert religion. They say, no, only my way or the highway. But here Gajendra tells you very clearly, Maha Aranvaya. That means in this, Bhagavan is the ocean of knowledge in which all the other forms of knowledge, all the rivers of knowledge go and merge. I do namaskaram again. So again and again and again, Gajendra is doing namaskaram, not to the form of Bhagavan in a particular rupa, not to Bhagavan in a particular form, but in a form of Bhagavan who is Nirguna Brahma. This is a very, very wonderful, uplifting. I told you, Bhagavan, when he said, just listening to all this sloka, you will be spiritually elevated. Now, do you feel that elevation by just 3 slokas? Now you can go and read all the other 28, total 28 slokas. Okay. My job is to just light the lamp. But you got to go and explore yourself. The wonderment of Gajendra Moksha is beyond words. Beyond words. Now here we are going to do 2 more things before we conclude. First thing is, this is not a bedtime story. For people in US approaching bedtime, this is not a bedtime story, nor is it a mythology. This is a metaphor. Gajendra is referring to all the Jivatmas. He represents us. He is just like Arjuna represents us in Bhagavad Gita. Here Gajendra represents all of the living beings. Now I told you that there are some more insights. That's why I put some more thoughts in this article. You can go and look at the article that is pinned in the top if you are interested in. Now here we are talking about Gajendra, who was living a very happy life. He had all these female elephants, so many calves, so many male elephants to submitted to his dominance, filled with a life of happiness, pride and ego, and a lot of sensory pleasures and a lot of attachments. Sounds like our story only. I already told you. Gajendra is not just one elephant, he represents all of us. Then remember the story we were talking? Now we are going to go and recollect some of these thoughts we saw there. Remember what attracted all these elephants? Because of the thirst, they want to cool themselves, and all these golden flowers, they were all attracted to that lake. When they went to this lake, what does this lake represent? This lake is the lake of Samsara Sagara, right? And then this Makara or this crocodile, you can visualize it as our vasanas. You know, like some of us who are dieting, they know the strong pull. When all our friends are distributing all the bhakshanam for Deepavali, we are resisting the temptation. So vasana is not that easy. You know what I am talking about. So vasana tries to pull you deeper and deeper into samsara, into the lake. And Gajendra is trying to get out of that. It says like, no, I am going to come out of this. In this battle, what did this Jivatma rely on? This Jivatma relied only on its own strength. Remember? All the people who were supporting the herd and things like that, they were able to help only for some point in time. But Gajendra was not relying on that. He was fighting based on his own strength. And that is the problem, relying on external strength. You have people who promise, don't worry, I'll come and help you. Except when you really need the help, they say, sorry, I told you, but right now I'm tied up, I can't help you. Because in this inner journey, nobody can help. This Jivatma has to fight it on its own. It has to negate that effect of the Makara, the Vasanas. Now, most of us, what we do, We go and ask like, hey, come, you come and help, you come and you promised me this, you did this. And we keep running from pillar to post. Now, sometimes it may be people, sometimes it may be money, it may be position, it may be job, it may be this or that. But they are all external, aren't they? So, we want to get out of this. And you and I are trying to quench this deep internal fire that's burning inside us. That didn't start now. That's been burning inside us for many, many janmas. And we don't even know that. Now this Jivatma is... Now we also had a reference of this elephant and Makara fight was going on for thousands of years. Understand? We remember the story we saw in the beginning. So this thousands of years, this Makara and this... Now what happened? That elephant slowly lost that power. Same way, when you and I are fighting against our vasanas, slowly we succumb to the vasanas. How many people make a decision that this new year I will do weight loss journey? By January 30th, weight loss journey is already history and they are well on their journey to pack another few more pounds. Then again we come back and say like I want to do this. Now I'm telling weight loss journey as an example. It could be money, it could be anything. But I'm just saying that as an easy to visualize example, not any specific reason. So this Jivatma gets beaten up across so many janmas. Suddenly, like out of the blue, just like the Gajendra started remembering about, oh, I have to remember about that I am not this body, that there is one Bhagavan, that Bhagavan is whom I need to pray and worship. That Hari gives us, you, me and all of us based on our own Punya Phala, Satsanga, our past association, our past sadhanas. That is why many of you are still here. What happened to many people who came to the room, who saw for 2 minutes and they all disappeared? Why? That topic is too boring. Who wants the elephant story, right? But you all want more of the elephant story. Your heart is not filled. You want, tell me more about the elephant story. There seems to be more information. Yeah, I'll give you some more. That Hari's grace is the reason why Gajendra was able to remember all the spiritual sadhana he did. That avarana, remember Hari promised, if you remember him, he will remove that avarana at the time of your final. He didn't talk about final as the time of your death of your body. He is talking about at the time when you are ready to shed all these vasanas. Bhagavan Hari will come to the rescue and he will lift you to the next level, next plane. You will drop your avarana then. Now when you look at the Phalasruti which we discussed a few minutes ago and you come back to this talk, now you know what Bhagavan said was 100% what is going to happen to you, me and everyone. So it is not a story, it's not a fantasy, it's not an imagination. This is the reality of you, me and everyone. Okay. Now Bhagavan also, we also were talking about the Purushartha, right? Bhagavan can give us Dharma, Artha, Kama. But what we are after is after Moksha. So for us to grasp the highest Vedanta that is from this Gajendra Stuti, we need to take every single word and we need to meditate upon that word. I promise you, this is only 28 slokas, but it is not that easy to grasp this highest Vedanta because our mind is not evolved to that level. But as we continue this tussle with samsara, by repeatedly remembering about Bhagavan, Bhagavan's grace will come to us to the rescue. We saw that Gajendra was fighting only on its strength and found it is futile because all the people are not going to come to your rescue. Even your own strength is going to go down over a period of time. So what happened? It was filled with dejection. It gave up hope. And that is a stage when you, me, all will go through in this spiritual journey. You remember when we were looking in Bhagavad Gita, what is the very first chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna crying. Arjuna is only crying. And even the first few lines of second chapter also is only crying. I am crying more. There is a sense of despondency. There is a sense of like, I don't know what I can do. But then you slowly turn your mind towards Bhagavan. You turn your mind towards Atman. You slowly give up the thirst for this samsara and develop a thirst for Paramatma in the form of mumukshutva, then you are going to start connecting with the 28 slokas of Gajendra Stuti. Okay, another angle. You remember the Huhu, the Gandharva, who was holding on to what was the number one apachara that Huhu did? He did a Bhagavata apachara. He went and disturbed another Bhagavata who was immersed in, the Rishi Devala was immersed in remembering the Paramatman. He went and disturbed him. So, for that Bhagavata apachara, you have to get hold of another Bhagavata, Gajendra. So, he held on to this Bhagavata's feet for thousands of years. For that 1 minute of 30 seconds or maybe 20 seconds of disturbance of Rishi Devala, he holds on to Gajendra's feet for thousands of years. And now for that Bhagavatapachara, he is liberated. The liberation came from Bhagavan because of Sudarshana Chakra came and all those things. But the real reason why he got that liberation was not from Bhagavan, but was by following the Bhagavata. So this way, when we are following the Bhagavatas, when we look at all these great acharyas, when we look at all these great rishis, and when we look at all these great mahatmas, all we are doing is just follow them. Just follow them. Then there is an interesting thing. I already told you this, right? Bhagavan is in Vaikunta. He created this entire prapancha. So if Bhagavan made just one sankalpa, that crocodile is nothing. He could easily kill. Why did Bhagavan have to come all the way from Vaikunta in the same form, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, all the things, and he is coming with so much difficulty. Now he is literally carrying Garuda because he feels Garuda is not fast enough for him. So he is carrying literally Garuda. And he doesn't want to go ahead of Garuda also. So Bhagavan is doing all this circus. Why? Because when you and I are really distressed and our distress is not of materialistic nature, when our Atma is really yearning to connect with that Paramatma, that Bhagavan is going to feel the same amount of pressure. He is not, you will see in Narasimha Avatara, Bhagavan takes this Ugra Rupa. He comes and kills Hiranyakashipu. But after that he should be calm, right? After that Bhagavan is really angry. Why is he angry? He is angry not at Hiranyakashipu, he is angry at himself. He is angry, why did I slow down to protect my bhakta? Why did I take that extra millisecond? Maybe I could have come a bit earlier. Remember, whenever Prahalada was having a problem, Bhagavan protected him. There was no need. But when Hiranyakashipu threatens Prahalada's life, show me if Bhagavan is here or there. He is pointing here and there. So they say that Bhagavan is there as Narasimha throughout this prapancha. Because no one knows where Prahalada will point and say Bhagavan is here. So this Vishnu takes the form of Bhayankara Narasimha and he is spread throughout this universe. Of course, he is there everywhere in the universe, but visualize this. He is angry and he is waiting. Why is my bhakta being put to this test? Same way, in Gajendra's case also, Bhagavan is feeling that pressure that this poor child Gajendra was going through so much problem. Imagine if you and I were to look at that Bhagavan and say like, Bhagavan, please protect me. Please lift me from this stupid sansara. I am sick of it. I am sick of being sick. How many janmas I will have to take this? Is there no help for me? Why am I being pulled by not one makara, so many makaras? Anything and everything is a makara. I am just overwhelmed, Bhagavan. When will you lift me? Bhagavan is gonna come without any hesitation. Because if you look at in Bhagavad Gita, he says, he gives three promises. He gives one thing, one primary purpose for his coming. But while coming, he does two things. His primary reason to come, paritranaya sadhunam. Why? Vinashaya cha dushkrutam. When he comes, he also gets rid of the bad people. Protects the good people. Paritranaya sadhunam. Dharma sansthapanarthaya. To establish dharma. Sambhavami yuge yuge. So this Gajendra Moksha happened in different yuga, in a different manvantara. But Bhagavan keeps up his word. So let us not forget the fact that Bhagavan is more than anxious. Imagine a mother. The child is playing. It went into a different room. Maybe it went into a closet and it didn't close it fully, but it is just hiding there. The mother is anxious. She is searching every single room. The baby can't hear. But the anxiety of the mother, only a mother can understand. Most fathers will say like, okay, I get it. See, that's why we look at Bhagavan as also the Mata and Pita of everyone, right? Immediately we will come with one question. You don't understand. I also ask Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not coming. Why? Because you are asking, Bhagavan is running away from you and me. Because whenever you think Bhagavan and I think Bhagavan, I say like, Bhagavan, give me this, give me that, this thing or that thing. You know, in Tirupati, he is standing 24/7 and giving darshan. All of us go there and what do we ask? Bhagavan, you give me this, give me that, I will bribe you with this money and I will give you more money, you give me this, you give me that. But that's not what Bhagavan is wanting. He says, okay, you want dharma, you want artha, you want kama. Take it. But if your cry comes not from your mind, not from the ahamkara, not from the desires that are modifications of our ego and our egocentric aspirations. If we are not in that looking at Bhagavan from that angle, but if we are looking at that Paramatma and we are saying, Bhagavan, this is the cry of my Atma. Bhagavan is tuned to that frequency. Is there anyone, any Atma that is crying for my help? Is there any Atma that is saying, please help me? Not for the materialistic trinkets, but to get out of this stupid samsara once and for all. Bhagavan is in a rush. Just like he came in a rush to help Gajendra, he will also come with equal ferocity to help us. But our mind, remember the qualifications what our Gajendra told? Is our mind polluted by all the attachments? Is our mind pegged to all these a million makaras? Is our mind still bound by the three gunas? Or are we rising above that? That is the question Gajendra is posing to us. So, I hope all of you know that this is not a silly story. This is not a nice cute story you tell small children. Or this is not a story to just tell you, give you hope, okay, Bhagavan will help you. No. This is a story of every Jivatma. This is a story that each one of us can either follow Gajendra and attain moksha, or we follow and resign ourselves to the makaras. The interesting thing is we are so excited about these makaras that we voluntarily open the mouth of the makara and we put our leg and our head. These vasanas, they don't chase us. Looks like we are chasing the vasanas. And we are saying, please entangle me more. But once we listen to this wonderful Gajendra Stuti, Gajendra Moksha story, let alone understanding this Stuti, if we just recount this story and recall this story again and again, there comes an intense process of wisdom that slowly starts dissolving our... Yesterday there was a gentleman who asked, I wish he was here. He asked that he has bhakti, but he wants to go to the next step of jnana. But if you really look at from a different perspective, from Gajendra's lens, jnana is the first step, because your mind has to dissolve in that bhakti. And at the highest state of bhakti, you and I will completely surrender to that Paramatma, and that will be Saranagati. It is not the Saranagati that, hey, I do it ritualistically and I say, hey, I got the Saranagati done, so I am connected with my Guru, and no, not like that. Here we are talking about the jnana that has fructified as bhakti, and that intense bhakti, the fruit of bhakti ripens as Saranagati. So, we heard this wonderful story of Gajendra. We heard repeatedly again and again and again the guarantee of Sri Hari. We heard the guarantee that he says like, hey, if you listen to me, visualize me, imagine this phala, if you keep telling this sloka and if you keep visualizing me, I will cleanse you of all the papa. And I will ensure you that, I promise you that at the time when you have gotten rid of all the lower distractions, that I will come and give the memory of me. I will give you that Atma Jnana. I will give you that understanding that you are Atman and you and I have a special equation. I will give you that. Bhagavan Hari gives that guarantee. See, in other places, somebody else gives guarantee. The author gives guarantee. But here, in Gajendra Stuti, at the end of it, Bhagavan Sriman Narayana himself gives his own guarantee. So, with that guarantee, let's take a second to thank that Bhagavan. What kind of intense love he has for all the bhaktas. What kind of passion, what kind of special relationship he has for every single Jivatman. Not a million mothers can match that Vatsalya, what he has for us, what Karuna he has for us. May we listen to these kind of stories. May we listen to these kind of Itihasa Puranas, purify our chittas. These stories are not for our entertainment. These stories are transformative. They are going to take us completely to a different realm. And with that, I completely surrender to the lotus feet of Sri Hari and the lotus feet of Gajendra, and pray to them that he guide all of us to constantly be thinking upon him, thinking upon his grace, rather than every time we battle more makaras. Let's also remember that there is Sri Hari waiting to come to our rescue the minute we take our attention off these makaras, off this samsara, and put our attention on him. And may we be successful in doing that in this very Janma. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna.